You're listening to
such a short amount of time to do it in.
a Mamamia podcast.
Hello and welcome to Cancel, the podcast that's all about people or things or TV shows that have been, according to the culture, cancelled.
Or should be cancelled.
And my name is Jessie Stevens. I'm here with my identical twin sister, Clare Stevens.
Hi.
And look, the point of this podcast is that, you know, just like some crimes are worse than others, my partner just got a red light ticket. That's bad.
It's so expensive. I can't tell you how expensive. I can. It's about $400 and something.
That's a lot. But you know what? It's not jail time.
It's not.
And you know what does come with jail time? Is
murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or lighting a building on fire, for example.
Yes.
And so what we need to differentiate in this celebrity courtroom is the differences between crimes.
Celebrity crimes.
There's a misdemeanor. That's a court word. And we have our listeners, some of whom are lawyers, help us with the words. So we have words like misdemeanor, defense,
Prosecution.
acquitted.
Tender into evidence.
Yes. One said that we can use the term learned friend.
I'm the learned
You
friend.
can be the learned friend in this situation.
Exactly. So, Jessie, on trial today is Married at First Sight.
As hopeful singles from all over the country courageously put their hearts on the line.
Is he going to like me? Is he going to love me?
To marry
I get to meet someone who will hopefully be my partner forever.
a complete stranger.
I do have to say that we have a vested interest in Married at First Sight not being cancelled because we personally very much enjoy it. We also recap it. And that's our bias. And I'm going to submit that into the court. I would like to say as well, we didn't just choose Married at First Sight. All right? We are the Australian experts, not the experts on the show, but the experts of the show.
Like, I can go back through Married at First Sight seasons and name every contestant.
We've recapped every single season.
I think this is season 9.
Yeah, there has been so many seasons. We've recapped all of them. We have a Facebook group with 50,000, it could be 60,000 now.
It's called MAFS
60,000 members. MAFS lols. It's a disgusting cesspit of abuse and hatred. We do not moderate it anymore because we created a nightmare and we left it. we
highly recommend you check it out.
Difficult. We pivoted. We went, this was a project. It turned into something disgusting. We're going to move on.
We take no responsibility.
And I would also like to put on the record that one of the actual Married at First Sight experts, I will not name which one, does not like us.
No.
And our coverage of the show.
They say that we can be mean. And at times we have been critical of experts, and I understand her position and I respect it.
Okay, you really narrowed down who it was.
I understand their position and I respect it.
Exactly. Today I'm going to submit several pieces of evidence into the courtroom, tender evidence, and their moments. And together they come to really form a strong case, in my opinion, but you're going to be the defence.
Yeah.
But we'll start with some context. Married at First Sight Australia started in 2015 and it was based on a Danish series of the same name. The idea is that a group of strangers are paired together by experts and married. But legal restrictions in Australia prohibit a legally binding marriage from taking place, so instead they do a commitment ceremony.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of paperwork involved if these were real marriages. It would also seriously ruin the sanctity of marriage, and I think some priests would take to the streets.
I would be so mad.
They'd be real mad. The show actually started off with a very different format to what it is now. And there were actually some early successes. One couple from the very first season had a baby together.
Which couple?
Zoe and Alex.
Oh, yeah, I remember them.
They're no longer together, but they had a beautiful baby. Then a couple from the second season, Bryce and Erin, still together. Oh, amazing. But this is not a show that is about successful relationships.
It's about a pooey toothbrush, and I'm sure we'll get to that.
We will.
That's some clickbait for later.
We will. This instead is a show about how far you can push human beings to be awful to each other. To the brink.
And behave badly. And this is the thing about a valid scientific experiment.
Yep.
You do it once, and you do have to repeat. We know this from COVID scientists.
Yes.
You've got to repeat your experiment to just ensure that
your sample size.
Yes, exactly, to get things right. And they were going, can we use these experts with questionable histories Match these people and see if we can create love in a scientific environment. The first experiment, objectively no. The second experiment, absolutely no. And since then, they've just been repeating it because as Albert Einstein, an avid Married at First Sight fan, he's in the group, he's in MAFS lulz, has a few lulz. He actually wrote this in the group. He said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
He did. And he was talking about MAFS. One of the first inklings of the brokenness of this show was when they paired Clare and Jono. So Clare was recovering from a traumatic event and was paired with someone who was aggressive and quite cruel. That's certainly been
It's actually just not funny.
No, that's not funny. But that definitely is a recurring theme, that pairing a vulnerable person with someone with a propensity for anger is going to result in problematic television and opinion pieces in SMH.
Yes, and a lack of, and this is another legal term, duty of care.
Yes.
It is a lack of duty of care that this was precedent setting and it would go into other seasons.
Exactly. But it seems the show has just become wilder with every season. In season 3, the producers went, stuff it. We're doubling the number of weddings. Yes. After a dinner party fight in season 3, they went, okay, we need weekly dinner parties. That's a new fixture of the show. Another rule that's come into play is that there's a weekly commitment ceremony and the couples have to choose whether to stay or leave. But if one person says stay and one says leave, they both have to stay.
Which is the rules of any relationship.
And it ignores the fundamental tenets of consent.
If I say to my partner, hello, I'm leaving you at this commitment ceremony that I have just invented, and he says, I don't want to leave you, the rules state you must stay indefinitely until you both agree.
There are 3 experts. There have been a few alterations, but John Aiken has been around since the beginning.
He's the North Star. He's the North Star of this program. John Aiken, what's he? Is he a psychologist?
He was, but they had to change his title on the show from psychologist to relationship expert under the direction of the Psychology Council of New South Wales.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also Mel Schilling. She's been around for a while.
Yep.
And they have replaced Trish Stratford with the sexy expert. No offence, Trish. You're also sexy. But Alessandra Rampolla.
Because Trish, we must say, because we've watched this, we are obsessed with this. We turn on the last season. Bye-bye, Trish. Not a farewell, not a cake, not a speech, nothing.
We always
no acknowledgement of Trish.
There was ganging up from Mel and John against Trish, and then Trish disappeared.
That's what we read. And Trish was obsessed. For anyone who is a diehard fan, you will remember, Trish is obsessed with what we call sexy texts. Yes, that is mocking a New Zealand accent, which we feel is in the realm of appropriateness.
Yes.
She always said, you guys are having issues, he's aggressive, you're vulnerable, why not send a sexy text?
Yeah.
And a sexy text can be a breast. Oh, a bit of a fun time.
A bit of a badge.
Exactly. And that's fun and can build connection between two people who hate each other after 3 days.
Exactly.
And maybe that's why Trish disappeared and has not been seen since.
She has not. Jessie, I'm going to need you to be an expert and defend the show from now on in the context of this cancelled courtroom.
I'll be Mel.
Okay. I'll be the prosecution. You're going to be the defence. Now, it's a given that some of these people on the show are going to hate each other. I'm not mad about that.
No. That's television.
It's a given. These people are going to cheat, they're going to lie, they're going to fight. Today's episode isn't about that. These are about the moments that actually made us go, no, how is this allowed? Let's begin. 1, when Debbie wanted a Polynesian husband.
Okay. Yep.
It was 2017. Debbie walks down the aisle to see her experimental husband, John. But there was a problem. As soon as she saw him, she said, I was expecting a Polynesian from the islands. She continued to lament his Caucasianness throughout the wedding, and it was a deal breaker for their relationship. Her Polynesian preference was a little awkward given that she incorporated Polynesian culture into the wedding, despite the fact that there are approximately 0 Polynesian people present. The experts sent her and John to Samoa for their honeymoon, and they were straight up trolling her. She got so mad on the honeymoon that she yelled at John, why did we do the Polynesian-themed wedding if there was no Polynesian? All they would have had to do is put an ad out and they would have got about 100 of them and they would have found one.
So my defence is that it's all a little bit funny, isn't it? To want a Polynesian, which is quite objectifying.
Yeah.
to state that so clearly. And what we did, what's known in relationship expert circles, is it's called trolling. And what you do is you listen, you do long form interviews, you say, what do you want? What do you want? And then what we give them is the opposite. And what you see is great television because Deb didn't get a Polynesian, she got a white man.
Yeah.
And what was great about that match that we've discussed since is that John could never be Polynesian, no matter how hard he tried. So it wasn't that anyone could work on anything. It was broken from the start, which is why there were fractures, there were fights, there was sadness. You may remember John came back for another season.
That was also unsuccessful.
Yes. But it was fun because that woman didn't want a Polynesian. So what we see there is growth.
I would like to put on the record, Polynesians are people and you can't just put ads out for people. So you can't just put an ad out for a Polynesian.
No.
That feels reductive and unfair. So that was Debbie. That's cancelled. Strike one. 2. When Sam body shamed Lizzie, then ghosted the show and lied about having a funeral.
Yeah.
It's 2019. A man named Sam is paired with a woman named Lizzie. He told the cameras he scares women off because he's too good looking, but it would appear that's not the reason. Because when he first sees Lizzie, he tells the camera,
I've never really dated girls, I guess, as big as Elizabeth in the past.
He said she's got a beautiful face. Maybe I'll get her running in the morning. But then it came time for their honeymoon. And Sam straight up disappeared. He said he was going to a funeral, but he was uncontactable. I would never accuse someone of attending a fake funeral, but there's no way that funeral was real.
Yes.
He disappeared for 5 days. Lizzie started talking to the wall. He wouldn't answer her calls, probably because he went to Ibiza and there was no reception in the club.
Yep.
He comes back at the dinner party. He said he couldn't contact Lizzie because he didn't have her phone number, even though it's 2019 and it's like, you can check Instagram. She's like, did you get my voicemail? And he lies about it.
Would you like me to defend this
Yes.
as an expert? Because the thing is, he did attend a 5-day funeral of which he was uncontactable. The experts could have given him Lizzie's number, but we didn't because it was better television that way, okay? We could have told Lizzie that he was or wasn't at the funeral. We could have helped her out. But no, we locked her in a room. We promised her a wedding and a honeymoon, and what we did was we deprived her of the honeymoon because the groom left her after fat-shaming comments.
Yeah.
Again, it gave way to a great plot line that season in that Sam then had an affair with Innes, who was evil but hilarious,
Yes.
if you recall. So I think that that was a really good choice. Again, she came back.
She did.
So
after having a love affair with the wall,
yeah.
she had a later love affair.
And remember we learned how she heated up her pizza? Do you remember that scene?
in the toaster?
Yeah, she would toast her pizza.
That was actually really helpful content.
It was.
3, NASA being possessed by a demon.
I see him on Bondi Beach twice a week.
I see him several times a week.
Yep.
Ye old NASA. Having a shower at Bondi Beach.
Yep.
He's a fixture in my life. It's hard to believe that when NASA was first matched with Gab in 2018,
We liked him.
He was a fan favourite. But then he devolved into a demon. NASA had to visit Gab's apartment during the experiment and accused it of being possessed.
This place is possessed.
Oh, God.
It's possessed, I'm telling you. There was things happening in the middle of the night. The windows were crackling, the door opened. The door opened by itself. How could a door open by itself? Forget it.
But it seemed like he just didn't love the apartment. It seemed like there were no cafes nearby.
Yeah.
Which I get why he's in Bondi. There are plenty of cafes.
Yeah. I've been to homes and just gone, this isn't it.
This
I
ain't
don't want to
it.
live here, which is fine. But he was rude about it.
And remember he was obsessed with cleaning? I think maybe it just wasn't
Up to his standard.
Yeah. He then totally ditched Gab's place, and Gab had to explain to her friends, all of whom were grown women, that her fake husband couldn't be here because he was scared of ghosts and her apartment, which they were standing in.
That's the thing that happens sometimes when you do have a fake match between two strangers, is that what are you going to discover 2 weeks in? Oh, he believes in ghosts.
He came back for the MAFS reunion last year and then stormed out after refusing to apologise for being awful to everyone online. He talks to the Daily Mail. He writes stuff on Instagram. He just says mean things. He said a horrible thing about Cyrell's baby. Let's just not. Afterwards, he did a podcast interview and he said he's playing the role of deluded reality star. My question that I pose to you is, for whom? For whom is he playing this role?
I have an answer.
Who?
For me.
For you, Mel.
Yeah, for me, Mel. It's fun. It's titillating. It helps with the promo. He's not on our payroll. Don't get me wrong. He's not on the payroll.
He's a volunteer.
He is a volunteer. He does this out of the goodness of his heart, and what he does is just drum up interest. You guys forgotten about MAFS? I'm back with some goss and some opinions. It's what we need to keep the ball rolling.
I firmly disagree. I think NASA needs a warrant for his arrest. 4. Cyrell versus Martha. In 2019, there was an ongoing, borderline violent fight between Cyrell and Martha.
It wasn't borderline. She threw a fruit bowl.
First, Cyrell heard that Jessica touched her husband Nick on the leg, but it was a rumour started by Martha. So she ambushed Martha in her room, but Martha was wearing a face mask. Not today's face mask, a beauty face mask. She storms into the room and she says, "Don't yell at me, Martha. Don't effing yell at me." Next thing we know, Cyrell has her fist around Martha's bathrobe.
Bitch, if you swear at me and scream at me like that one more time, scream at me.
Don't around with me, Martha. I'm scared of you, brother. Move out of my way.
When a producer tries to separate the two women, Cyrell yells, and I quote, "I ain't scared of you, brother."
We said that non-stop for 12 months. I ain't scared of you, brother.
On her way out, she did throw a fruit bowl. John Aiken tried to intervene and tell Cyrell that while she is allowed to disagree with people, she is not allowed to throw fruit bowls. It's inappropriate and antisocial.
That's what we call psychological counselling.
Yeah.
We're modelling how to deal with those sorts of situations. We got John Aiken in for 4.5 minutes
Exactly.
to tell Cyrell no, but then when the camera turned off, he said, yes, do it again. Do it again.
Keep going.
Go
Well,
and confront Martha.
It clearly worked because soon there were several impatient knocks on Martha's door. And it was a passive-aggressive Cyrell, ready to give a forced apology. She said, "I'm sorry for breaking your bowl here." And she indicated to where the bowl had been. But it was just a blank bench space.
Did she replace it?
No. Okay. And she said, "And for grabbing you as well."
Oh.
And then Martha said, yes, the physical violence was an issue, but you also said a number of hurtful things. And Cyrell said, "I'll apologise to you for what I did, but not what I said." So then it culminated in the final dinner party where Cyrell audibly bitched about Martha. Martha lost it and threw red wine on Cyrell. Yeah. It got in her eye. And people in prison behave better than this. Prove me wrong.
Cyrell was, from our point of view, the experts behind closed door. We stay in a little cupboard, like a storage cupboard when they're having the dinner party. We listen to it outside.
Everyone knows that.
And we think Cyrell was one of our better choices. She was named during that season, Cyclone Cyrell.
Yep.
And it was because she was chaos. And as an expert / television personality person, I want people to watch my show to see my expertise. And in order for them to do that, I need Cyrell throwing fruit bowls. Okay? Because it's very interesting. It's great for the trailer.
Number 5, and I know you'll agree with this. This, honestly, is a cancelable offence. Troy's toothbrushing technique. In 2018, we met Troy.
Who was a friend of a friend, and that's not relevant, but people see him at the gym, and apparently he gets on the roll with the same intensity as he used that toothbrush. What he would do with the toothbrush, this is my memory, is that he would eat his tuna for breakfast. Who eats tuna for breakfast? And then he would brush his teeth too soon after eating the tuna.
And there would be tuna and toothpaste
mixed in together, and his gums would bleed.
Well, he was getting ready for his wedding and decided to brush his teeth, and that is exactly what happened. Jessie, there was the combination of tuna and toothpaste. It looked like he was scratching his teeth because they were itchy.
Do you know what it's like for a cameraman on a show to spot that? You're looking for content. You're going, is his brother going to miss a layup? Is his mother going to say something inappropriate? Like, what are we going to find? What are we going to find?
And then you
go,
go, sorry.
I'm sorry. Are you brushing your teeth right now? And you just zoom in to a man who is frantically brushing his teeth.
It was frantic. Troy's teeth brushing made it to Ellen. There is a clip of Ellen DeGeneres speaking about Troy brushing. I think we all think we'll be on Ellen one day, just for a minute. Just Sophia, Grace and Rosie, I have a dance, I'll get on Ellen. Yeah. Imagine that was Troy's turn. That's it. It was him brushing his teeth.
That was his moment.
It was really upsetting.
It's one of those things you don't know you do weird until someone else looks at it.
And by someone else, we mean the whole of Australia. Number 6. Speaking of toothbrushes, David putting Hayley's in the toilet. You try to defend this, Mel. Okay. You try.
It was the fecal toothbrush incident. Do you want to?
Because you know what, Mel? You were upset about this.
I was, and that's why I was modelling good experting. And was this done just before the COVID outbreak?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this.
Do you want to just tell people, because they may have forgotten, they may have missed it. Come on, what happened?
It's February 2020. Awfully close to when COVID really boomed in Australia.
Blame it on a bat. Maybe look a little closer at a man named, what was his name again?
David
and a toothbrush.
For reasons that remain unclear, Hayley hooked up with another woman's husband, Michael. Do you remember Michael? Mm-hmm. She hooked up with him.
Yeah.
Her husband, David, found out. And instead of asking her about it or being fine with it, considering their relationship was in a horrible place, they didn't seem to like each other.
Not good television.
He does the only logical thing. He takes Hayley's toothbrush and scrubs the toilet with it. Bizarrely, he decided to film the whole thing and send it to multiple people, which suggests he thought it wasn't entirely fucked up.
There's a detail that I think we should throw out there because it was missed from some articles because they didn't think it was appropriate to share. But this is a safe space. Apparently there was fecal matter on the toilet bowl that made contact with the toothbrush bristles.
Yeah. It wasn't just a clean. He hadn't bleached the toilet bowl.
No, he hadn't cleaned it and then gone. Not that that would really be any better.
No.
But this was particularly bad in that Mel, me, the expert, did point out, I mean, you can get a gum infection.
Oh, you get more than a gum infection. I'm pretty sure you can die.
You could die. If you're getting fecal matter inside your gums, I mean, it's a recipe for COVID variant.
Did they teach you that in MAFS expert school?
Yeah.
Somehow the video ended up in the hands of another contestant, Michelle, who ran to Hayley's door and told her immediately. Hayley then decided to pack the pooey toothbrush in her handbag for the dinner party so she could raise it as a piece of evidence. The cancelled courtroom really likes that.
Yeah.
I love that she went, I'm going to tend to the evidence. Here it is. You can still see the poop articles.
Yeah, I'm going to respect that as a... I mean, it's a MAFS courtroom. She knew what was up.
Upon hearing David offering another couple relationship advice, Hayley retrieved something from inside her clothing.
What could it be?
It was a pooey toothbrush.
Okay.
She pegged it at David.
I can't let David get away with what he's done. He wants to dance with the devil. He's got no idea how to dance yet. What about the fact that David rubbed my toothbrush?
She's got the toothbrush. She's got the toothbrush.
Right? Put my toothbrush in a toilet?
But David wouldn't be shamed. He shrugged his shoulders and said that his mates have done worse. And with practical jokes, there are no limits. I would say the limit is eating your own poo. The limit is always eating your own poo.
We've always said that because we don't mind a practical joke.
No,
I mean, that's fun.
It's always ingesting.
But you always go, the question you should ask, you know how there's like flow charts? Yeah. Like, should I do a practical joke? Yes or no? Yeah, sure. The next one is, does it involve eating your own poo? If the answer is yes, then don't do it. Don't do it.
Then it leads straight to don't do the joke.
Don't do it.
No.
You go to the other one, it's like, oh, does it involve a fright?
Yeah.
A fright is fine. We just don't go to consuming our own.
Does it involve exposing people to diseases? Yes? No, not the
flow
one.
chart ends there.
Yeah. Michelle starts yelling, am I the only normal, abnormal person here? And yes, it would turn out that she was. But there was one more twist. As Hayley cried at the table, saying she was embarrassed by the frankly humiliating thing David did to her toothbrush, Michelle repeated, it's okay, you didn't use it.
Didn't use it. You didn't use it. So, like, yeah, you didn't use it so that, yeah, you're fine.
Like you did, you know I did.
And that is the cause of why this show should no longer be on air.
Look, we're not saying this is how you should act, but it is an option of how some people do behave. And what we're doing is showing you could behave like this or you could behave like an adult. I got him in trouble. I said to him, don't. We said play a practical joke, sure. We thought you understood the limit because that was borderline / completely abusive to people that were involved. It could have made her very sick. Next minute, we have a 3-month lockdown related to a new disease. There's a connection.
There is. Okay. I've got next Dean rapping.
What was his rapper name?
Visions. Okay. Obviously. Dean cheated on Tracy, my little lady.
Yes.
With Davina. But Tracy decided not to break up with him because that would be letting him off too easy, which made no sense. But turned out Dean was a rapper and his rapper name was Visions. Dean wrote a rap for Tracy, but he was nervous because Tracy didn't know he was a rapper.
No.
Jesse, as part of submitting this to evidence, I'm going to need you to read the rap.
Okay.
Okay? It starts here.
Would you like me to try and rap it? Because I can't really remember the tune.
Go.
Okay. Hey, yo, Tracy, my little lady.
Yes.
You drive me crazy. After last week on the couch. Yo, I know you probably hate me. But you gave me a shot. You're so hot. Plus your brain is neck level. Come on, show me what you got. We tied the knot. At first sight, it's tight. And when we get to talking, girl, we stay up all night. It's all right. We're going to make it through. Anyway, I love your next note. Now Dean peddles vaccine misinformation and misogyny. Dean, just so everyone knows, Dean Wells thinks you shouldn't get vaccinated.
Yeah,
so
if you wanted to...
just take that into consideration when you book your booster.
Please don't. That's Dean. Moving on. When Jess and Dan broke up on live television.
With Ben Fordham. We'll never forget it. It was one of the best moments of my life.
He's a respectable journalist.
Yeah. And what he did that night, how he did not win a Walkley for that incident, because it was, I'm just going to take over, Claire. Jess, he kapower.
Yeah.
And Dan, don't give a shit about it. Dan the man, I don't know what his name was. They were an affair. I think, came out of an affair, but that's fine. We encourage that on Married at First Sight. They then sit down for an interview to be like, look how great our relationship is with the one and only Ben Fordham. Mm-hmm. And Ben Fordham is interviewing them, but I believe that what happened was before they went to air and in between the ad breaks, they were fighting.
There were F-bombs thrown.
Yeah, there were F-bombs being thrown. And they came back on and they were all smiling. And Ben Fordham went, I'm an investigative, respectable journalist. I'm going to call you out on your bullshit. And he was like, you were just saying the F-bombs. What's going on here? He made a fight. Dan basically broke up with Jessica live on air during that interview.
She refused to speak to him.
Me and Jess get along great. Everything's great. And we have great times and we do have great moments and things do feel really fun and happy when we're together. But then one little negative, like last night or tonight's episodes, can just raise so much doubt. And then articles here and articles there, it just creates so much negativity and toxicity in our relationship. It really does, doesn't it? Do you feel that?
Yeah, are you going to answer Dan's question, Jess?
I don't think this is a conversation we need to be having on air.
Oh, that's what you got to do during an interview on national television is a response is expected.
It was horrible. It was incredibly uncomfortable, but really nice television, I will say. But when you've got couples breaking up on national television moments after the finale on a spin-off show called Talking Married, we have too much content. I say we've got too much content.
The more content we've created, the better it's got.
No.
It just has.
It means that Australians are spending too much time on Married at First Sight and it's actually infringing upon our productivity and we are no longer making medical advancements.
No.
We are no longer driving buses. We are no longer getting anything done because we are not only watching upwards of 10 hours of Married at First Sight a week.
We are watching Talking Married.
We're watching Talking Married.
We are.
Finally, Innes Broadley.
I love that woman.
Me too. In 2019, we met Innes. On the day of her wedding, she was asked how she was feeling, and she had one word. It was horny. But when she sees her experimental husband, Bronson...
How are you going?
Hi, good.
I'm Bronson.
Hi, Bronson. Can we get rid of your eyebrow ring, please?
It's one of those rare cases where the word please makes it significantly ruder. Innes warms to Bronson, though, minutes later telling the camera, when he smiled, I wanted to punch him in the jaw.
I'm getting a very inbred vibe.
Which definitely isn't a thing you're ever allowed to say.
That's what's fun about matching strangers.
Yeah.
Is the cruelty.
You never know where they're
It's
going to
like,
go.
turns out I to hate your face. And I'm just going to work through that vocally for the next 2 weeks.
In front of you.
Yeah.
But Innes did find new and innovative ways to criticise her new husband, whom she hated from the get-go. In Port Douglas, she complained about how her and Bronson didn't have any chat, which was difficult when half of the chat was just insults from her side.
But he could have responded. When she says, I'm getting inbred vibes, it's like that's a dialogue. That's an open-ended statement.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
They go to a wildlife park and Innes criticises the way Bronson holds a koala. Then they go parasailing and she's nervous. Bronson tries to calm her down and she yells, "Shut the F up. When I say don't speak, shut the F up." He takes a deep breath and says,
I've got to say though, as a human, you are a horrible person. Horrible person.
Get me off the boat. Get me off the boat.
She spent the rest of the boat journey filing her nails. And remember, it was like, where'd you get that nail file? Like, fine, but also...
We gave it to her for effect.
Yeah, also, so she's filing her nails and coughing as if to indicate her severe allergy to Bronson. Then she takes up the relationship with Sam. They have their affair, and it was like two actors pretending.
It's like a child who learns that if you say the S word, everyone laughs, and they just keep doing it. That's what Married at First Sight does.
It's like, you want this?
You like it when there's an extramarital affair? We'll do 3 this season, and that one's going to have a pooey toothbrush. Yeah. Like, they just keep upping it.
They do. Which takes us to charges and sentences. Jessie, it's time for charges and sentences.
As Judge Mel Schilling, I just think there is not a single, I'm just looking at my notes, there's not a single
All right,
charge.
I've got some extras.
Yep.
Firstly, I would like to charge the experts, that includes you, with 3 counts of cruelty.
No.
Yes.
No.
The sentence is the following. I sentence the experts. I'm going to sub out Alessandra. I'm going to sub back in Trish.
Oh.
And I'm sentencing them to an experimental throuple. And it is going to be uncomfortable to watch.
I don't like Trish.
Because John
I got her pushed
and
off
Mel
the show. Yeah.
have a vendetta against Trish. And I want to see that happen.
John and I have just chatted. What do you think about the charge only involving Trish? Trish will serve the sentence.
She can't be in an experimental couple with herself.
Oh. No.
Okay, well, that's going to be happening. My next charge. 1 count of pointlessness and waste.
That was Trish. When I think back to it, that was Trish's idea.
No, the whole thing of fake weddings, for what purpose?
Yeah, Trish pushed us into that.
Okay, you can't just blame everything on Trish because she's not here. Sentence. For every experimental wedding, a real couple get to piggyback and have their actual wedding.
For free?
Yes. So what upsets me is that we have these weddings and they're beautiful and they're at gorgeous locations and there's catering and there are dresses and there are bridesmaids. There's flowers. There's bloody bonbon. What do you call them? The little...
Bombonera. I've never been able to say it.
Bomboneries.
Yeah.
And everybody gets them and it's silly because it's for a fake wedding that's not going to last.
It's embarrassing for guests. It's like, oh, what do you need a dress for? Oh, fake wedding. I'm going to a wedding. Oh, who's getting the... Oh, not really. It's just fake. It's television. It's just a really awkward occasion. Like when you go to hire a dress, it's not a category.
So I think that as somebody who might like to get married in the next few years but cannot afford it and also cannot be bothered to plan...
charity wedding.
I would love to piggyback. I say, Channel 9, you film this wedding. You do a little bit of tidy up and then I'll come down. My wedding's real though.
We can offer you that if you marry a stranger.
No.
Please.
No, that's the thing that won't be happening. My final charge is a silly premise. Silly premise. Marrying a stranger. So, there's a new show that I'm launching. It's called Married After 10 Years.
Oh, that's so boring.
And it's for couples who have been together for longer than 10 years. And they talk about why they're getting married, the hardships they may have faced.
Do they put toothbrush in toilet?
No.
Fruit bowls?
No. And the show pays for their weddings and their honeymoon.
We did try the 7-year itch. That was a show.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was really bad.
Yeah.
Really,
not
really
dramatic
bad.
enough. So, look, my charge and sentence is it's great, and my sentence is more money for Mel. Okay? You can watch MAFS at 7:30 on 4 nights a week. We're doing recaps, Claire.
We are recapping.
Now I'm back as Jessie, expert Jessie. Where recapping is so much fun. You can read them immediately after the show finishes on Mamamia. You can follow us on the Twins Thoughts. We are going to share the recaps where we share all our evidence for our cancel courtroom, etc. We have lots of fun on there. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Cancelled. The producer of Cancelled is Rose Kerr. And if you like this episode, leave us a nice review. That would be great. Okay, bye. Bye.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this podcast on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.